Hello, welcome to Elevate20. My name is Emily Aksamit, and I, along with my coworker Michelle Swanson, will be spending the next hour talking with you a little bit about the Family Childcare Network at Nebraska Early Childhood Collaborative. So let's get started. Let's take just a minute to look at this first slide and answer the question, when I take care of children, I feel... So there you'll see four different birds, an owl, an ostrich, a duck, and an eagle. And by each bird, you will see some adjectives. So take just a second to look at these adjectives, read them, and just determine what do you feel most like when you take care of children. An owl, that's clever, wise, and attentive. An ostrich, cautious, gentle, peaceable. A duck, easy, silly, sociable. Or an eagle, protective, strategic, and strong. So at any time, you probably feel all of these adjectives. But just for this activity, let's think about what we most feel. Okay, and now let's look at those same birds and answer the question, when I make a business decision, I feel clever, wise, attentive, cautious, gentle, peaceable, easygoing, silly, sociable, or protective, strategic, or strong. Now, chances are that you moved from one bird to the next bird because you feel one way when you're caring for children and you feel a different way when you're making a business decision. So the point behind this activity is to get our minds to think about the fact that being a family child care provider really does tap into different emotions, different responses, different attributes, because we have so many roles to fill in this career field. You have to be nurturing and care for children, but you also have to be a business person and make business decisions. So at the Family Childcare Network at Nebraska Early Childhood Collaborative, we are dedicated to helping family childcare providers navigate through the waters of running a small business, as well as doing the other pieces of your work, such as nurturing and caring for children. The Family Childcare Network is made up of coaches, consultants, and many, many different people that have providers, such as yourself, that have gone through our programming. So what I'd like to take some time to do today is talk to you about what that programming looks like. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to my coworker, Michelle Swanson, and she's going to tell you a little bit about Licensing Toolkit, which is one of the programs that we offer in the Family Childcare Network.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Swanson, a Family Childcare Network specialist here at NECC. Happy to be here at the virtual Elevate20 in these strange and unusual times. And I'm here to talk briefly about NECC's Licensing Toolkit. So as early childhood professionals, we're always striving for greatness and improvement, right? At NECC, one of our organizational values is continued quality improvement, which we call CQI. We believe quality is a journey. It's not just a final destination or a landing place to stop. It's ongoing all the time throughout your career. Wouldn't you agree? One of the important quality milestones programs can reach for quality is getting licensed. There are a few practical reasons to be a licensed provider, some benefits. I would say the first one is you can reach more customers. When you become licensed, you're automatically added to the state's child care roster, which makes you more accessible to our state referral agency and to families looking for child care in their area. More families means greater impact on the lives of children, which is what we all want, and better income possibilities, which is definitely what you want. Another benefit is you can access more sources of income or revenue. So when you're licensed, you qualify for accepting child care subsidy, which we call Title 20. And you can access the National Food Program, which is called the CACFP, which helps with reimbursements for meals and snacks for the children that you serve in your programs. And also think about it. If you can reach more customers, you're getting more income. Also, you're more likely to be viewed as a professional. Childcare is your career. Family childcare providers are not just child educators, they're small business owners. When you're licensed, you're showing society that you're safety focused and you're growth minded. You're entering a partnership with your licensing entity to provide high quality childcare services to families. You are a professional. This commitment will also allow you to access services such as accreditation that you may want to seek in the future, and other professional development opportunities such as coaching and mentoring programs. And to me, I think that's really a few good reasons why programs should seek licensure. Now, we also realize that the idea of getting licensed to an unlicensed or a potential provider can be many things. Things that come to my mind are words like scary, daunting, intimidating, confusing, really challenging. For a number of reasons, this may be their reality. You remember, so you may be able to fill in the blanks with whatever words come to mind. So I challenge you to just take a quick moment and just think about or even write down some words or some feelings or some thoughts that come to mind when you revisit your getting licensed days. Maybe for you it was challenging, but not too bad. Maybe it was a good fun experience. I don't know. But I really encourage you to just take a moment to think about what that was like. Whatever negative thoughts or words came to mind, we want to avoid that with our future providers. And with Licensing Toolkit, it doesn't have to be those things or those words. We want to hear words and phrases like, it was challenging, but it was a good learning experience. Or, it wasn't too bad. Or, it was easier than I thought. Or, I can do it, so you can do it. And that's what Licensing Toolkit is really out to achieve. Changing that I can't do this mindset into I can do this and I have support. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what Licensing Toolkit is and what it contains. Through the Licensing Toolkit, NECC provides materials, the guidance, and the support to help unlicensed and potential providers through the entire licensing process, start to fully operational. Toolkit helps providers fulfill those state licensing requirements, the application pieces. We assist programs on meeting the health and safety standards. And we give providers the opportunity to become part of our professional network for family childcare business owners so they can connect with already established providers like most of you. There are substantial benefits to participating in Toolkit, and I'm very excited about these. First of all, providers receive all the licensing application materials in one handy packet. So there's no hunting around for websites to find all the required documents or wondering what they have to fill out or what they need. All of those materials are right there at their fingertips, one handy packet. Providers will also receive 4 supplemental boxes that each contain some important items, okay? The first box contains many health and safety items to assist with meeting licensing regs. So for instance, those hardwired smoke detectors that we're required to have for fire safety, those are in the box. Other things like outlet covers, a fully stocked first aid kit with a thermometer, and an emergency backpack that supports your emergency preparedness plan that you're required to have for licensing. These are all things that you're going to find in that first health and safety getting started with Toolkit box. The second and the fourth boxes are a little more fun, okay? They focus on quality enhancement, and they were designed in partnership with Lakeshore Learning, so you know they're going to have some cool stuff. And providers get to choose what box they receive the second time in the second box. So for instance, each box contains developmentally appropriate toys, learning materials, and picture books to support quality in their programs and also support the Nebraska Early Learning Guidelines. And the best part about it is they're themed. So for instance, let me think of one. So one box is all about outdoor play. So everything in the box is going to contain toys and materials that providers can use for outdoor play. Okay. Another box is the block play box, and that's filled with a variety of different types of blocks and blocks accessories. Okay. That fourth box focuses completely on social emotional development. So you're going to find books, music, toys, materials that support social emotional development in preschoolers. Very cool. Providers get to choose their box based on their own individual program needs or vision. And the third box also contains some items that encourage professional development and also contain a set of quality picture books that support the Nebraska Early Learning Guidelines. So for instance, a board book copy of Humpty Dumpty is in the box that encourages rhyming. So that would support the language and literacy guideline. Okay. Think about this book. It's called Calm Down Little Monkey, and it illustrates self-regulation for children that are going through a challenging or tough time. What early learning guideline do you suppose that might support? If you're thinking social emotional, you got it. So as you can see, these books all support those early learning guidelines. And the books are either bilingual or there are a Spanish version, along with many of the other materials in all the boxes. Now, because NECC also values being people-centric, Toolkit focuses primarily on building those strong, positive relationships through that mentorship piece. And I want to tell you about the mentorship piece because I feel like that's one of the most important pieces of Toolkit. The Toolkit Mentor helps providers navigate through the licensing process by being able to answer questions through the process and on the application, and even to support on the Child Care Startup Grant. Provide additional resources. So if you need deeper clarification about regulations, maybe you're curious about subsidy or the food program, maybe you're looking to find trainings in your area, we can help with that. We also offer a technical assistance piece by offering a licensing readiness visit. So program environments are prepared for that real deal, that real initial licensing inspection. So we actually come into your program either virtually right now because of the public health crisis, or we can do it in person if you're in our metro area, and we can help get those environments ready. Okay. And also just being someone in the provider's corner while they move from being unlicensed into fully operational. And really, that's probably one of the most important pieces, is just having that cheerleader, that support system that helps you move from that I can't do this mindset to I can do this and I have support. So now if you're wondering what you can do with this information as an already licensed provider, my hope is that you share what you learned about Toolkit and our Family Childcare Network with any providers you know that are still iffy or on the fence about taking that big licensing leap. And please share with anyone you know who is thinking of becoming a family childcare business owner but just doesn't know where to get started. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Elevate20. Again, if you have any questions about the licensing toolkit or our network, at the end of this presentation, you will see our contact information where you can find us and get a hold of us. And now I'm going to throw you back to Emily. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. So as we've learned from Michelle, there are many pieces to becoming licensed, and the Family Childcare Network at NECC has the tools and the resources to help walk you through that, help you navigate those waters. But once you've become licensed, you still need some help. You may still need some resources and some support, whether you've been licensed for just a small amount of time or whether you've been licensed for 10 or 15 or 20 years. This has been your lifetime career. You may find yourself at a place where you want to just learn more about running the business of childcare. So that's where the business series comes in. So a family child care provider has many different roles. The role of teacher and caregiver, which is probably what you see as your primary role. The role of taking care of children every single day, teaching them, making sure they're healthy and happy, giving them what they need, and then But beyond that, the family childcare provider is a small business owner, and so therefore is an entrepreneur. Is really deciding what's best for their business as far as the business piece is concerned, and finding new and creative ways to run their business. And then the nuts and bolts of that would be to be a business manager. So you're just running the daily routines of managing your business. There are many different hats that a family childcare provider wears. Those are only 3. So the business series is designed to teach the family childcare provider at any stage in their walk about running a small business. The business series was created by an organization called All Our Kin. They're in Connecticut, and they've been doing this work for over 20 years. They've been offering the business series for 10 years. And we at Nebraska Early Childhood Collaborative are lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to use their content to offer the business series to the providers in Nebraska. So the business series is comprised of 10 classes, one of which is graduation, but the others are as follows: marketing, policy handbook, risk management, contracts, accounting, time and space percentage, budgeting, and record keeping. So each class, which meets 1 day a week, goes for 3 hours. We've got 3 hours that we concentrate on each of these topics. Let's take just a little sneak peek at these topics. The first one is marketing. So marketing is different, goes beyond just advertising. Advertising, you take an ad out somewhere or you let people know you have an opening. But what is marketing? So one of the pieces of marketing that we like to talk about is understanding the differences between features and benefits. And when we talk about a feature, what is that versus a benefit? So a feature would be something that I offer in my childcare. I may transport children to and from school. That's something that I'm willing to do. Or I offer 24-hour care. Or I will maybe perhaps only serve people that are teachers, so I do a teacher schedule. Or perhaps I'm bilingual. So these features, these pieces of my center that are unique to me, that I offer to the families that I serve, those are my features. And then what marketing tells us to do is to take a look at those features and then talk about what are the benefits that a family may have from that feature, from my home offering that feature to them. So let's take, for example, I'm open 24 hours, which is a wonderful calling to do if you're willing to open your home up 24 hours to people that perhaps have to work shift work. Maybe they work a 3rd shift and they are overnight, or maybe they're up in the crack of dawn because they work in the medical profession, or they need to be on call because they work in the medical profession. Whatever that may be, that's the benefit. So the feature is that I am open 24 hours. The benefit to the family is that I can fit your child into my home at any time that you need to go to work. If you work a 3rd shift, if you're up in the morning, that's fine. I'm here, I'm open. That may not apply to somebody that works 9 to 5, but if I work an overnight shift, that is something that I might need, and I will find that exactly to be what I need, and then I will want to come to your home. So not just saying I'm open 24 hours, but talking about how does that benefit the families that I serve, and being prepared to think about what I offer and then what that does for the families. The next class is partnerships and communications. And in this class, we focus on contracts and handbooks. So on the slide before you, you'll see a contract and a handbook. Now, we know the difference between a contract and a handbook. A contract is shorter, a handbook is longer. A contract has signatures, a handbook does not. A contract can hold up in court. It has legal terms, and it talks about time and money. So what do you expect as far as money, and what do you expect as far as time? You would list those things out in a contract. Where a handbook would talk more about what are the expectations I have for the families in my care. What do they need to bring? What are what's our holiday schedule? What is my policy on discipline? So what do I kind of the expectations in my home that I want to share with my families? And we go over that because not everything belongs in your handbook and not everything belongs on your contract. And those two things need to be clearly stated, which we'll talk about later in the hour, clearly stated and understood by both parties. Okay. Then we move into risk management. Risk management really is our session on insurance and understanding that as a family childcare provider, you need to have the right insurance. You need to make sure that you are insured with what is appropriate and covers all your bases, and that you don't have insurance that you don't need, but that you do, the insurance you do have covers what may happen to you. So here are 3 scenarios. A flood destroying Maria's house. She probably needs flood insurance, and as we've seen in Nebraska, homeowners insurance or property insurance doesn't always cover floods. We were flooded a couple of years ago, and it was quite devastating for our state, and there were a lot of people that understood that they were out of a flood path, but they ended up needing flood insurance anyway. So that's something that we would want to be aware of. If my basement floods, and that's where I have my childcare, I need to make sure that I'm covered to be able to be up and running again so I don't lose any income. And the second bullet point talks about accusations. So if a family accuses the daycare provider, in this case we call her Maria, if accuses Maria of something and she knows she didn't do that, she's going to have to pay for a lawyer out of her pocket. But did you know that insurance can cover that for her if you have the right kind of insurance? And of course there is, slip and fall kind of liability insurance, which is a basic, but not everybody, we may not all know that that's what we need. So it's important to just be able to know what we need and then go in and check with our insurance agent to make sure that we have what we need. Then we move into contracts and policies. So we talked a little bit about contracts and policies earlier, but this hour we talk very seriously about how contracts and policies are really communication tools between the provider and the families, and how important it is to be able to do the pieces of our work that matter to us, which are the caregiving pieces and those relationship pieces. It's really important that we have a clear line of communication with our families so that pieces like money and just other little hiccups that we may have a hard time talking about, the provider may think, I don't like conflict. I don't want to ask them for this late fee, or I don't want to tell them that, when they bring them, they need to have their outside clothes ready to go. These are pieces that for some people, that relationship can be difficult. Those conversations can be difficult. So it's really important to think about, how does my contract and my handbook, or the policies that exist in my handbook, how does that address what I expect, but on a deeper level, how does that address the communication that I have with my families? Because that's where the crux of our relationship is. That's what holds it together, is this communication piece. Do you care enough about me to hear what I have to say? And do I care enough about you to hear what you have to say? And in this provider-family relationship, that is just absolutely a must, because at the center of the relationship is that child that deserves the best from both the provider and the family. So you would think, what does a contract or policies, what does that have to do with that? But if I don't have a clear stated policy on arrival times or arrival procedures, then the family that I serve may be overstepping that and causing me to feel frustrated and not even know that they're bothering me, not even know that is upsetting me or disrupting my day, not wanting to hurt me, but then I could possibly be stewing in that and think, oh, I wish they'd come when they said they would come. So it's just important to know that then that relationship is a little disrupted in that, and having a clear stated policy can absolutely help with some of that confusion or those pieces that we may feel concerned about. Then we move into record keeping. So record keeping ranges in sophistication anywhere from, keeping an Excel sheet to grabbing a receipt and sticking it in your coat pocket, and then when we get home, stuffing it in a paper bag somewhere until, the beginning of April, when we need to take a look at it and give it to taxes. So it's important then to think about the way that we keep our records and understand that keeping good records can help alleviate some stress in our life. It can make it easier for us to file our taxes when it comes time to do that. And it's important that we don't miss any pieces. So keeping good records will make sure that we're complete and thorough and just alleviate the stress. So let's take some time what we do is we take some time to look through the way that we do it and then see maybe why do I do it that way? How can I do it better? Why should I do it better? And the outcomes of that is having a clearer line of communication when we submit our taxes, and then understanding that we have our financial records in order. Keeping those good records can help us to, keep a good budget, to save money for future projects, to project out to see, when do we need to raise our rates. There's a lot of different things that keeping good records can help us accomplish in our business. When was the last time I raised my rates? I think it was a couple years ago, and I think it was what do my records say? What do my records say as far as how much I'm spending on food? Should I be doing this a different way? There's just many different things that we can do when we evaluate our process and we determine, am I doing this the most efficient way? Am I getting the most from the resources that are around me? Can I do it better? And all those questions can be answered by just keeping good records. Now everybody's favorite class, time, space, percentage. What difference does it make? So a time, space, percentage is a number that you have calculated that talks about the space and the time that you spend running your business. So somebody who does not have a business in their home does not have to worry about this, but you do, because you share your business, you share your home rather with your business. So when it comes to filing your taxes and getting deductions for that, what can you deduct? What can you write off for taxes? I have a percentage number. You have a percentage number called time, space, percentage that helps you with those shared expenses. So time, space, percentage can be tricky, but once you get it, it makes a difference. Why does it matter? My tax preparer just assigned me a number, and it's good enough for me. Well, is it? Let's take a look. So here on the slide, we have 3 providers, Julia, Carol, and Natasha, and they each have a different time space percentage, as you can see in that middle row. They each have the same electric bill, 180, but a different time space percentage. So if you look down at the business deduction, you'll see that based off of their time space percentage, they each are able to write off, to deduct a different part of their electric bill. And you can see that Natasha, who has the highest time space percentage number, can write off the most of her electric bill, therefore making her profit and loss on her taxes, her profit statement, different than Julia's, and will get a different tax return. So it is important. So then we move into budgeting. And in budgeting is an interesting class because it really dives into not just how to budget, because we can all understand how a budget works. We get it. How much money do you have? What do you allot for each expense, and then stay in that budget? But how many of us create a budget, myself included, and then fall out of that budget? Just don't, it's almost like a New Year's resolution for me. What a great idea. And then when I get into it and the rubber meets the road, then I think, oh, well, let's just go. It'll be fine. I'll make it up somewhere else. So budgets are not always as easy to follow as we may think. The words may tell us that they are. So budgeting is a class that we really talk about, yes, how to budget and what are some good tools on budgeting, but also why we do or do not successfully budget. So this slide shows us some proverbs about money. The first one is, all that glitters is not gold. The second is, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. And the third, a penny saved is a penny earned. So take just a minute to let those sit with you. What do you think about them? Have you heard all of them? Are you familiar with them? What do you think? What do you think they mean? So the reason that we have Proverbs is because money is an issue that taps into pieces of ourselves that we may not even realize. Our emotions, our experiences, the parts of us that we that we have to kind of go, okay, what are my attitudes about money and why? Where do those come from? Perhaps I grew up without money. Perhaps I grew up with money. Perhaps I am fantastic at budgeting. Perhaps I am terrible at it. I just spend it as soon as it gets into my hand. Why do I do that? Well, because I had money, or I don't have money, or I'm, whatever that moment, whatever those moments in your life may be, the influences in your life from the people that love you and that have loved you, that raised you, that took care of you, or that love you now, those influences and those experiences, that all forms our relationship to money and absolutely impacts whether or not we can budget. So budgeting is an interesting class where we really take a minute to look inside and say, why do I do that? So then it all kind of culminates to taxes, right? Preparing for taxes. This is one of the last classes that we have together. Preparing for taxes. Does preparing for taxes make you feel like this? Like you're drowning in paperwork and you just need some help? Well, for a lot of us it does. And so it's important in this session to really take a look at how we can get, how we find somebody to help us with our taxes. What does that look like for somebody to hire somebody that is a tax professional? And it's important for us to remember that we need to find somebody that knows what they're talking about when it comes to family childcare, because there are different pieces of family childcare that don't apply to other businesses. So we spend this session really going over taxes and what it looks like, either to do our own taxes or to hire somebody to do those taxes for us, how we can be prepared, what we need to bring to the table, how we need to advocate for our situation. We need to know what we're talking about so that when we step into that appointment with that tax preparer, we're not just relying on somebody to do this work for us, but we are partnering with somebody to get us the most back that in our tax refund that we can, to do what is right for us and when it comes to paying these taxes, because that's our income. That's the income of the family childcare provider. And if you're giving money to taxes that you don't need, that you could fold back into your expenses, then we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. So those are the topics that we cover in the business series. We want to talk about, why is the business series important? Well, because of all those topics. It's important to Nebraska Early Childhood Collaborative. Certainly, it's something that we love. We're so grateful to be able to offer it to you, and it's been so fun. The first cohort, and then the second cohort that we're in the middle of now, it's just been so great, and the relationships that are built and the information that we hear and learning from each other, it's just fantastic to draw from all the experience in the room and be able to listen to how other people operate their business, and then learn new things about what we do and how we could possibly do it better. So it is important. There are pieces about business that we don't always know, because perhaps the family childcare provider stepped into this field because of their deep love for children and families, and they want to be a part of a community. They want to be a strong support of a community. And as we've seen, especially in this last year, the family childcare provider is really the foundation of the community, and having a high quality family childcare or childcare at all in a community really makes the community stronger and really builds the community up. And as we have, especially this last year, it's obvious and inarguable that the child care provider is an essential worker, and he or she needs to be able to be operating at a high level with all of the best practices of small business in order to be peaceful, be satisfied, have happiness in their job and their work, because our communities rely on the fact that somebody's going to be there for us when we go off to do a different job. And that somebody is the childcare provider. So that's why the business training is important. So it can move just from being something that you offer, that you love, with curriculum and the importance of play and brain development, all these beautiful pieces that we know about child development, and you can move into, this is my business and this is how I run my business. And that is important. It's important to have both of those pieces be balanced, and for the provider to have a good, strong knowledge base on both pieces. So also, it's important to understand and remember that family childcare is decreasing. It has decreased. The numbers of family childcare have decreased by kind of a big number, I think. 35% from 2011 to 2017. That's a lot of family childcare providers that decided that this wasn't the job for them anymore and stopped offering this service. Why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Low income, lack of benefits, lack of business expertise. So possibly the business piece of this was hard. It's hard to know, all the record keeping and the taxes and the time space percentage. And especially if I'm not trained to know those things, they're difficult. And where do I find this information? So it's too much work. So I'm not going to do it anymore. It's also a very hard job. So if we can make pieces of it easier, certainly we should. There are local challenges that, county and town challenges, city challenges that may bump up against you operating your business. And then sometimes people just go through their career, their adult life, work time, and age out and retire, which is fantastic. That's wonderful. Also, I think that sometimes people quit just because of lack of recognition or respect. There's been a long time in this field that the provider has been perceived to be a babysitter. And maybe maybe he or she's even felt that way about himself or herself, that I'm just a babysitter, I just take care of kids. So why do I need to know this much about taxes? I just throw my papers to the guy and I let him do it. Well, that's not the truth. There's nothing further from the truth. The family child care provider is a child's early learning teacher. And the family child care provider has a very, very important job to do. And that when that person does that with the highest of quality, then that is what causes our communities to be strong. That's what raises wonderful humans. When somebody in early childhood takes those little guys under their arm and says, hey, I'm going to show you how to tie your shoe. You think, why is that a big deal? Well, it is. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And as a child care provider, we understand that. We understand that just in the little things, that's what builds all the big things that our communities rely on from adults in our workforce. So the family child care provider and child care providers in general deserve a lot of respect and recognition. And I think that the business training really assists in that, because if you know what you're talking about and you can go into a situation advocating for yourself and operating your business, like the professional that you are, then the respect that you have for yourself and the respect that the outside world has for you is going to grow. So there's many reasons why this business training is important. So that wraps up our hour. Again, if you have questions about Toolkit or the business series or anything else that you may see that the Family Child Care Network at Nebraska Early Childhood Collaborative offers, please don't hesitate to reach out to Michelle or myself. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction and get you started with what you may need to take the next steps to be a part of the network, to take the courses that we offer, or to have some assistance in any way that we can possibly offer it. We are here because you are here. We're here to support you. Your high quality, your job satisfaction is important to us, and we want to make sure that you have what you need so that you love what you do, and you're getting what you deserve when it comes to resources and benefits. So if there's anything we can do to help you out in that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much for spending the hour with me. I hope that you enjoy the rest of Elevate 20, and hopefully I'll get to see you in class sometime.